Portland and Multnomah County officials continue to wage a highly visible battle against homelessness. Just this week, frustrated neighbors in Southeast Portland vented to city leaders.
I'm currently looking to buy out in the country because I've got to get away from this.
It's an incredibly difficult problem to solve, but there have been success stories, including a push to find housing for veterans. Tonight, we examine issues around homelessness with the man leading a joint city-county effort to combat the problem. From KGW News, this is Straight Talk with Laurel Porter.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for Straight Talk. I'm Laurel Porter. Amid a city-declared crisis in affordable housing and homelessness, Portland and Multnomah County have made some progress, but many challenges remain. Every year, thousands of people fall into homelessness, joining those already living without a home. And as the Portland Mercury described, our system for lifting them up does important work every day, but just can't bail out the boat fast enough. Here to share with us some of the success stories and what still needs to be done, we're pleased to have as our guest Marc Jolin, the director of both A Home for Everyone and the Joint Office of Homeless Services. It's a community-wide effort to solve issues around homelessness. Previously, Jolin was the executive director of Join, an organization that helps homeless people find housing. Welcome to my guest, Marc Jolin. Welcome to Straight Talk. It's great to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Let's start off with, how would you describe the state of homelessness right now in Portland and Multnomah County? What does it look like?
It's certainly a really difficult situation for thousands and thousands of people. We know that we have more than 1,200 people sleeping every night in our shelters. We know that we have a couple of thousand people who don't even have access to shelter on a given night. They're sleeping outside in doorways, in their cars, and in parks. It's a traumatic experience for them, and it's an incredibly challenging experience for our community.
I know the federal government recently did their point-in-time count census in February, and that's not expected out until late May. But any guesstimate on how many people are homeless in our area?
We can't really say based on the most recent census yet. As you say, that data will come out later, but we know from what we're seeing in our shelters and what we're seeing in the numbers of people trying to access services that, you know, we do have thousands of people literally every single night who find themselves without housing, and many more who are living doubled up or in basements and in situations that they want to get out of but can't because they don't have the resources to access permanent housing.
When people think about homelessness, they might think about the panhandlers or some of the tents they see around town, but really the face of homelessness is varied. What does it look like?
That's really true. Those folks in the tents are definitely homeless, but we also have thousands of people in families with children who are experiencing homelessness. On any given night, just in Multnomah County's East Portland Family Shelter, we have as many as 200 people in families with children who are spending the night there. We have the dramatic overrepresentation of people of color in our homeless community. So while only about 7% of Multnomah County's population is African American, fully 24% of people experiencing homelessness in our community are African American. Some of the fastest growing populations we see are adult women without children, people over the age of 55. Half of the people that we talk to experiencing homelessness tell us that they are disabled, either through addiction or mental health or physical disability or both. So it is a very diverse population of people, and our responses therefore have to be very diverse as well.
And with the challenges, you have had some success. You're proud of some of these numbers. Let's take a look by the numbers. In 2015, 2016, you helped with 4,600 individual housing placements. That's getting people off the streets, helping secure grants to cover things like security deposits. And during the same period, the office helped with 25,600 in some capacity. That's pretty impressive. Tell us a little bit more about what A Home for Everyone does. What's it all about?
So when we started this initiative about 2 years ago, and when I say we, I really mean the community as a whole. The city of Portland and Multnomah County were very instrumental in launching this initiative, but it also includes the other governments in the area, the city of Gresham, our housing authority. It includes the philanthropic community, the business community, all of the nonprofits that are engaged in this work, and many people who themselves have experienced homelessness. That group came together and said, if we really want to have an impact on this issue, we need to be working from the same plan with the same strategies in place and really coordinating our efforts. And so at its core, that's what a home for everyone is. It's that collaboration across stakeholder groups to try to get the best possible outcomes we can with the limited resources that we have. And the numbers you cited, those are the numbers from last year when we started this process 2 years ago. In that year, we had only been able to house about 3,000 people. And as you said, in this past year, we were able to house over 4,600 people. In part, that's because we've made significant new investments, but that's also in part because we're doing a better job of aligning the resources that we have around what we know the best strategies are.
One of the biggest success stories that we've heard about is with the veterans. You've had a lot of success there, effectively ending homelessness for veterans, finding vets, 1,200 plus vets permanent housing. You were recognized by the White House for that program. Earlier this year, our Chris Willis profiled one veteran who got off the streets thanks to assistance from the county. You see him here. His name is Kevin Blodgett. He served in the Army in the 70s and 80s, but fell on hard times, and he ended up living under a bridge. A county outreach worker found him and helped Kevin get into an apartment, and really the program has made all the difference. And that's got to be something that makes you feel really good.
It does make us feel good, especially for all of those veterans who we were able to help get back into housing. And I think the important lesson for all of us is that it is possible, that if we have the resources we need and that we do the collaboration that has to happen between government and nonprofit and private businesses. We brought landlords to the table as part of that effort. We had the federal government at the table with real resources, but also coordinating with us at the local level, the local Veterans Administration, there with us in meetings every week, talking about how can we make these systems work better for veterans. It was that kind of resource and collaboration that allowed us to create a system that did, as you said, over 2 years, help more than 1,300 veterans get back into housing. And really importantly, if we sustain the funding and we sustain the cooperation, we'll be able to continue to house veterans as new veterans become homeless. And that is the reality, that even as we make progress to house all those folks who were homeless 2 years ago, new people are becoming homeless, new veterans are becoming homeless, and we have to continue the effort.
Even with the collaboration, it must have been really difficult with the low vacancy rate in Portland and the high rents.
Yes.
How'd you make it all work?
It is extremely challenging, and it really is maybe the biggest challenge we face in all of the efforts we make to address homelessness, is that there are so few affordable units available in our community, especially to very low-income people. In the case of the veterans, we were able to mobilize the landlord community in support of this effort. We had the rent assistance dollars from the federal government and from the city and county that we could use to pay the rents, even if the rents were going up. So we were able to do it for that population, and we can do it for others as well, but we will absolutely have to address the cost of housing and the availability of housing for very low-income people. And
a key component really was that federal funding, and now with a new administration, with the Trump administration, what do you expect?
Well, we're certainly concerned. What we've seen in terms of the proposed budgets for the Department of Housing and Urban Development and for Health and Human Services give us cause for concern, and I know that this community has been very outspoken in arguing for the importance of continuing to fund those critical rent assistance services, those critical mental health and addiction-related services that are what it takes to successfully address this problem at the local level.
Well, that's certainly a lot to be proud of. There's also the downside, a lot of people upset in neighborhoods with what they see going on, particularly in the Lentz neighborhood. I guess you could say they're fed up. They say the homeless crisis is as bad as it's ever been in their area, with camps popping up along bike paths, under bridges, you name it, discarded needles and trash. They held a town hall meeting this week with city leaders. We're going to listen to a couple of the residents, a person who's homeless, and to some city leaders, and then I'll get your response.
Okay. So I've got a full secured lot. They cut my fence, took my son's street bike. Last week they took my tools.
It's gone crazy.
It's the garbage. It's getting worse and worse.
I can see how it would be concerning. However, sometimes people are put in predicaments where it places them, we have nowhere to go. Shelters are full. We've been doing our best to just pick up after ourselves.
Do you feel bad for the neighbors here?
Yes, I do.
Some of the issues around security and safety, we should be able to come up with some solutions together in relatively short order.
So they were happy to hear the city leaders say they recognize the problem, but what we hear from residents is they want action. What are they going to do? What do you want to say to them?
Well, when I was at that meeting and I heard them and I saw the images that they shared, and it is concerning, and I think we do both need to be addressing the human services side of the need of people who are out there, and also, addressing the impact on communities when we have so many people living their lives out in public spaces. That's going to be challenging even under the best of circumstances. And we know that both within the housed and the homeless community, we have significant issues with mental illness and addiction that we need to address better as a community. So for our part, we're of course going to cooperate on those public safety strategies that the police will be working on, and as the mayor was speaking to. But really our focus is on making sure that we're creating opportunities for people who are out there not to have to be sleeping out there. So in the last year, we were able to open 600 year-round shelter beds that are very low barrier, so that people who would otherwise be camping because they have a pet, because they have a partner, because they have belongings or are struggling with an addiction, that they're welcome into those shelter beds. And then we've also this season added another 200 beds of temporary shelter through partnerships with the business community. And it's not just shelter, it needs to be the support services that folks need once they're there to be able to make the transition back into permanent housing. So we've got more outreach workers out on the ground engaging those folks who are camping. We're trying to connect them to that increased number of services that we have available. And day to day, we will continue to work to try to address some of the livability impacts.
You mentioned low barrier shelters. One of them is the Willamette Shelter that you opened last fall in southeast Milwaukee near the Orange Line. It has 120 beds for women and couples, and it's managed by Transition Projects. What makes this shelter special?
Well, one, it's the first couples shelter we've ever had in this community, and it is important in that regard because one of the reasons we heard loud and clear from people in the Springwater Corridor and other places where they were camping was, I want to come inside, but I'm not going to leave my partner. And so, I really need a shelter that will accommodate couples. And so that was clear. We wanted to give folks who are camping a better alternative, and we worked with the county, obviously, and the city to put this together, and Transition Projects is the service provider there, and it's been working very, very well. And again, it's a shelter that those couples can come to as they are. They can come with their belongings and their pets, and once they're there, we'll offer them the services that they need, whether it's employment-related services or addiction-related services, in order not to be in that shelter any longer than they have to, because shelter isn't a solution to homelessness. It's an alternative to the sidewalks or the parks, but ultimately no one should live there any longer than necessary. We want them quickly transitioning back to a better living situation.
And a lot of people that we've talked to, they don't want to be in shelters. They don't want to be housed in a large group. I talked to one father with a daughter. He didn't want to bring his daughter in with a lot of other people. He thought she would get sick. So how do you address people who don't want to come to the shelters?
People don't want to come to shelters for different reasons, right? So partly we need to know what those reasons are. And as I was saying, if it's because they're in a couple and we haven't offered a couple shelter, let's do that. It's also why we're doing the Kenton project up in the Kenton neighborhood. And as you highlighted, the Lentz community had this meeting and was very concerned about the impact of homelessness. But they too were helping talk about solutions. Well, in Kenton, the neighborhood actually voted to welcome this small...
And we have some pictures here of that tiny house pod.
Exactly. So they voted to support it. But that strategy that is a shelter too, but it's a different kind of shelter, and it offers a shelter opportunity to women who might not go into a large-scale shelter that has 120 people in it. So partly we're trying to address it at that level, create more sheltering options, and then understanding that not everybody is going to go to shelter. We have outreach workers who are out in the street working to move people directly from the streets into permanent housing, because among those folks who say they're not interested in shelter, there are very few, if any, who over time don't want to find their way back into permanent housing. And if we can offer that, that's going to be their best path out of homelessness. And
a little more about that Kenton neighborhood. It's 14 tiny houses designed to help women transition out of homelessness, and they're designed and built by Portland State Architecture Show. So really a group effort. I was reading about something involving tiny houses in Seattle where they're doing an experiment where they're going to allow alcohol and drugs as long as they're used inside the home. And that's caused all kinds of controversy. People thinking, you shouldn't enable people that way, but they say that's a good way for people to be able to have someplace safe and secure, and then they can address the addiction problems. Is that something you've thought about at all?
That's not been part of our conversation with respect to these outdoor sheltering communities. Those communities actually, by their own choice, for example, at Dignity Village and Right to Dream, where the communities have come together and sort of formed themselves, they've said, we want to be alcohol and drug-free communities. That's going to be the case in Kenton as well. But we also understand that folks are going to use, and so addressing that and thinking through what that means from a policy perspective is important. We haven't yet here with respect to shelters, but it's interesting to know that Seattle is having that conversation.
And along the tiny home theme, A Place for You is another program where the county's trying to get people to volunteer to allow an ADU or a granny flat to be in their backyard, and then a pre-screened homeless family could live in that. And there's incentives for the homeowners. Have you had many takers on that idea?
We've had many. It's actually received an enthusiastic response from the community. We had 1,000 people call and put their name on an interest list for that program, and it's very small at this point. It's really a pilot project because it's not something that's been done before anywhere that we're aware of, and so if we're going to do this, we want to make sure that we do it right, that it makes sense in terms of the resources we have to invest, that it works for the families. So this is right now about a four unit pilot, but the community response has been tremendous. So I think if it proves itself out, it proves to work, it sounds like we've got a lot of willingness in the community to be part of a project like this.
Well, that's heartening, isn't it, to see that kind of support. When do you think you'll see those first homes go in?
I think we're shooting for early summer, so.
Let's take a break because I have a lot more questions,
Okay.
but it's time for us to take a break, Mark, but we'll continue our conversation about homelessness in Portland and Multnomah County in 2 minutes. Stick with us.